Welcome to the first episode of Creating Space for Peace, an exploration of peace in all of its forms with me, Robin Halston. And I've been having this idea of creating this podcast for quite some time now, but there's been a huge block of procrastination, and there's been a huge, just a lot of noise and thoughts and inner criticism that has been keeping me from creating. And I think it's whenever we're trying to go towards something or explore something new, there's this first trepidation and fear that we are encountering. Maybe also because with this podcast, I want to try to make something big, and or at least that's what happens inside my mind. And everything big starts with one small step, one episode, or just one forward motion. And that's why I'm starting this journey with you who are listening to this. And I've been also finding myself putting a lot of pressure on myself, as we tended to do, and I tend to do, in when it comes to being creative in any kind of way, that we judge ourselves, or we don't even get started, or we find all these excuses, and suddenly the dirty dishes becomes more seductive than actually sitting down and creating content or doing stuff that we really would like to enjoy to do more, but we're afraid of doing it. And I had this big pompous idea for the podcast, and I still do, and I'm gonna read it. But I also see that this is just also an exploration that I want to do for myself as a man trying to find peace, and how we can cultivate that more in our lives, and also how we can bring that into more of our lives. Sometimes I can feel quite lost and anxious ridden, and not feeling okay with what I'm doing and or who I am. So there's a constant quest for peace in my life, to be okay with who I am, to be okay with being human, not knowing exactly always where I'm going or what I'm doing. And with this podcast, I think I've had this idea that I've wanted to posturing myself as an expert on creating peace, because that's what's also a big part of what I do when it comes to my work with people in coaching, sound therapy, teaching meditation and yoga, that I've been holding spaces for, yeah, probably over 10,000 people during the last 10 years of different kinds of spaces when it comes to yoga, sound therapy. And yet there is still so much more work for me to do and see in myself, and so many things in my life that I need to face and challenge, and so many things that still uproot my peace. So many things that still, to this day, even though I think I've done so many educations and so many hours of meditation and different forms of techniques and therapies, that still there is Robin losing his shit every once in a while, and losing his grip and losing his balance. And especially these past 2 years of my life has been really, really catabolic, and almost stripping away of layers and who I thought I was and supposed to be. And part of that was also podcasting, which I've been doing back and forth for almost 10 years. And I've been part of, I think it's 4 or 5 podcasts in this time, creating over 250 episodes over this amount of time. And also like there's so many ideas of starting from scratch, or what am I doing? Feeling lost. And so this podcast is also a quest for both soothing my own itch of where do I find and how can I cultivate peace myself, but also helping others as I have done. One of my greatest blessings in my life has actually been, growing up with a lot of turmoil and stress in my life, inner turmoil and stress in my life, that has helped me and shaped me to come in contact with other forms of therapy or meditation that has alleviated my anxiety, stress, and pain. And then I've learned to overcome that, and I've also helped others, to alleviate their own stress and anxiety, coach people on how to sleep better, get rid of their anti-anxiety medications and their sleep pills. And it's just, it's interesting that still to this day, up until this point today, I also have felt a lot of anxiety. And maybe it never goes away fully. Maybe it's always going to be part of the existence. And that's why I'm starting this search together with you as a listener to find ways of cultivating more peace. And that's my intention. I'm gonna read loud what I've written down so nicely when I was still trying to make sense of why am I doing this, and making sense of what is my why. So here it goes. The time is now to create virtual fireplaces where people can come together and warm their hands, hearts, minds, and souls to elevate the human consciousness, to build networks and bridges that circle the globe, holding hands and creating empathic connection and understanding rather than division, wars, and ostracizations. To make space for peace, love, understanding, and coherency, to find respect and honoring in our difficulties and differences, and using our unique talents and abilities to live life more in tune with Mother Earth as a collective, dreaming in a new paradigm of relating and co-creating a world where we realize our abundant nature and start to help and hold each other in sacred reciprocity. Big words, for sure. And with those words said, also to realize that I'm just Robin, just a human being trying to find my way through life, just trying to understand life and how I can master it and how I can find, my unique way of shining so that I can both help myself live a better, healthy life, and also how to also help others on the way. So this is a joint quest that I'm embarking together with you as a listener to speak with people, both with friends, mentors, teachers, and other people that work in the field of creating space for peace. And I mean, for me, I work a lot with sound therapy, I work a lot with coaching, and those are the ways that I bring about peace. But for other people, peace can be maybe a hobby like snowboarding or painting or parenting or whatever is giving you a sense of flow state and peace, and that helps you become a better person. That's also my idea with this, is also to create like small ripples of just inspiration to cultivate more peace in a world, as I said in this text, where we're being fed every day by all the chaos and craziness in the world. But how I see it is that peace is also here now. Even though there's a lot of war, even though there's a lot of conflict going on, peace is also here right now. That we have a big, when it comes to the area of the globe, we have, I would say, 99.9% of the area of the earth right now, today, is in a peaceful, harmonic state. And then we have strips, lines that we have drawn as humans, where one country ends and another not one begins, where we are fighting, where we are creating war, where we're creating confusion. But as I look outside my window in front of me, I see a cow grazing, I see birds just chilling, and peace is here right now. And for me, this podcast, I wanted to become seeds and seedlings for inspiring people to be more peaceful in body, mind, and soul, in thoughts and actions. And just maybe also make sense of the human experience, make sense of why we're here, and find meaning. I'm right now in my own life struggling to find meaning and a sense of purpose. And maybe that's also why I want to create this, to make sense for myself, to understand myself more fully, and that peace starts within me, not me taking things externally in form of material possessions or money to bring me peace, or my partner or my friends, but I need to find it in myself. And as much as there is war, as much as there is conflict, as much as there is pain and suffering in the world, there's also so much beauty, and there's also so much peace. And the more we focus on something, the more it grows. Example, the last week or so, I've been in a more negative state where I've been doubting myself, and the anxiousness has risen. The anxiousness has grown even deeper because I have fed it that energy of doubt and fear. And these episodes, I want them to be, as I said, as a seed, as a ripple of positivity, hope, inspiration, that can make a little dent in creating a pocket of peace for you as a listener. It's because that's what I see when it comes to my work as a sound therapy facilitator, that I'm very passionate about doing, to play gongs in front of people and crystal bowls and all of that, to kind of create a space where I'm not the one giving peace, but I can create the space through vibrations and sound, a coherent room where you can land in peace together with me and come to a form of homeostasis, come to a parasympathetic dominance in your nervous system, so that the body can relax, unwind, get a good night's sleep, and therefore heal and create more peace. The more peaceful we are in ourselves, in our daily lives, the more we can ripple that out to our families and communities. And I guess also why there's been such a, for me, obstacle to start this is because I make things so big in my head. And just to be clear that this is an exploration, and I'm not an expert. I'm not claiming to be an expert. And the more I do know, the more I realize I have no idea. So I'm not starting this podcast as a way of, I know the answers, I know the way, but let's walk hand in hand and explore ways of creating a more peaceful world We are all looking for peace in different ways. And there's false ways of looking for peace, I would say, like in substances or addictions or in doom scrolling. We can also find peace in some kind of way, but it's not deeply fulfilling. So how can we connect back to the peace and love in ourselves and in others so that that emanates and grows stronger? So that, my friends, is my original thought process behind creating this. That is why I sit here today. And that is why it's been taking me so long to just sit down and record this. Yeah. With all beginnings, there's always, hesitancy and fear. And when we heed to that call, when we take that first step, that's also when God and universe can meet us halfway. So we'll see what happens with this podcast. I'm pumped to already have a few guests on the way, and I'm thinking to also have some solo casts and also talk about what are the pillars that make peace, to philosophize and also talk about different things that have helped me to cultivate more peace and bring more ease to my life and reduce my levels of anxiety. But before wrapping this first episode up, I just also want to give space for the two sponsors of the podcast that I've accumulated and that I'm really happy to have my support on this journey. I have both two supplement companies. One is Pureness, www.pureness.se. When it comes to peace, I'm also probably going to go into that in episodes about talking about diet and health, as I also have been working as a holistic health coach for many years. So there's also, when it comes to creating space for peace, we also need to look at the physicality and what we put in our bodies, minds, hearts, and souls. And Pureness is a supplement company that I've been using for years, myself personally. And I have one of the products here. It's a magnesium that I have myself to have a better good night's sleep. And I take it daily before bed, because sleep is one of the best peace inducers. If we don't sleep good, then we are quite fucked. So I'm happy to say that if you use the promo code PEACE20 on their website, www.pureness.se, you get 20% off all supplements, and they ship within the EU. So if you're outside EU, they're not shipping outside of EU yet. And the same goes for the second sponsor, which is altos.se, which is ran by my good friend Victor Carlson. And he created this company because he was also fed up with quality when it comes to product in the supplement industry. And I would say these two brands that I'm partnering up with are really high in quality and meticulous when it comes to testing and having good sourcing of their products. And one of my favorites from his company, Altos, is the Shilajit, which I sometimes have in my coffee to have a little extra boost, mineral boost. Mountain Blood is it called. This is, I think, from Mongolia, actually. And it contains a lot of vital minerals that helps me get more focus, more energy, and therefore also creates a better way for me to start my days, and therefore creating less anxiety and less stress in my body. You can use PEACE15 as a promo code on www.altos, and they also ship within the EU and not outside the EU at the moment. And with this episode, I also want to open up again because I haven't been working with coaching online for the last 2 years. I did that for almost 5 years prior to that point. I've been having a break. It's been a really reorienting time from a place where I was quite exhausted of giving myself to the world and was not giving myself enough. So I had to take a break from that. And with that, I'm now opening up that portal again for people to get coached by me. And I would say that's also, one of my main competencies as a coach is to facilitate also in the coaching space ways of creating more space for peace and find how can we fine tune our lives to create more space for peace in our lives when it comes to our health, vitality, and energy levels, anxiety levels. How can we bring them down and bring in a more coherency in our lives? So if there's any questions around the podcast, or if you want to get in contact and work with me one-on-one, you can email me at robin@robinhalsten.com. You can also visit my website. It's not in English yet. That's also part of this process, is that I start this podcast from a point of I'm not completely done with all the things that I would want to be, but that's also been part of the procrastination nature that I've been having. And just this episode is just to get the ball rolling and to move with progression, not perfection, as our guiding light, to progress and not to think that we're gonna arrive, that it's a process. So you can go in my website, it's still in Swedish, robinhalsten.com, to read more about me if you don't know about me. I would say that's it for now. Thank you so much for listening, and welcome on this journey of creating more space for peace. That's been a lifelong quest for me, as I've been speaking about this in this episode. And I just want to have you along the journey as I also try to discover how I can create that more in my life. Thank you so much for listening, and see you in the next episode, where I'll have one of my first mentors, Elliot Hulse, on the show. One of the first people who really got me into coaching and got me into philosophy, bioenergetics, and who has been a guiding light and a male mentor of mine for many, many years. Looking forward to sharing that with you. And until next time, peace.